The conduct of the rich and powerful is creating a state of anarchy.
A Soldier Story 2, Return from the Dead. Set in two West African countries, Nigeria and a fictional country called the Wax Republic, A Soldier Story 2, Return from the Dead highlights some major socio-economic issues such as insurgency, terrorism, women's rights, immigration, and more, which the world is currently tackling on a global scale, while telling a compelling story of love, hope, and survival in the face of corruption.
Imagine how rich you'll be with full control over the soon-to-be oil-rich region of the country. Just partner with us to progress.
It stars Baj Adewale, Berit Glaser, Chris Atto, Daniel K. Daniel, Eric Roberts, Linda Ejiofor, Tope Tedela, Sambasa Nzeribe, Somkele Iyalama, and many more.
You come here, you give me dynamite. You give my enemy dynamite. We kill ourselves for what?
This deal is a real chance to grab real power.
Directed by Frankie Oga, this action movie will be in cinemas from the 11th of December 2020.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Medley Show on the network service of the NTA, and our guest has been keeping us on our feet, on our toes. Yes, you've been, you are quite resourceful, and I can imagine some of your works, you've had to play the role of a director, director of photography.
Yeah.
You've even had to play a role in the movie. How were you able to, juggle all of that together?
So most of the times, if I'm the director of photography, I hardly would play a role in that film, but sometimes I still play because I love to act. Yeah,
Okay.
I just play a minor just to show, because if you see my product, my approach to how to compose images, you might even know by that this is papel. And then once you just see me show up somewhere, you say, okay, I know this is papel. But directing, because you give directive, you can come back and sit down. And, I tell them, this is the camp, this is the set, this is the playground. My actors are going to move here, lights should be coming this way, and of course I can sit back and somebody clap and I say action, and then I start. Once you say action, I can count 1, 2 seconds. I'll be in character. I can say and then I can be in character now, and so I just start acting. So those three majorly happen on set, but other aspects of the production, like scripting, you have to script and then you finish up. Editing is when everybody has gone. You sit back and you have to put it together. So it's easy for me to do the other parts of the production, really. But directing and doing cinematography work and acting, I have to play. And most times I just play minor roles. I'm only on sets that I'm not playing this part, I can play a major role.
I've seen a couple of your works, Mr. and Mrs. Part 1 and 2. You played a role in one, yes, Charles, and then you directed. I know you've had a couple of works to your credit, but what was your first project, your very first project?
My first movie was titled The Bond. And I made that film. I shot the film twice. Because when I started in the industry, I was somebody who used to criticize the way our films were made. I even said we do video coverage and call it film. But I didn't even know how to go about it, because when I made my first film, it now looked the same way like what these people are doing. So I thought it was the camera. So I was looking for a better camera. So I bought a HD camera. I still didn't have what I wanted. Then I realized that it's not just the camera, it's what camera, the way the camera sees. Because in film, you're trying to tell a story with the image. After the image, you talk about the sound. Then after the sound is the dialogue. That is why if you watch a Russian movie, you will understand what is going on, because you are first of all going to understand the image. Then the sound accompanies that. So I had to go with cameras that can screen out the background. Cameras like 5D Mark III could give you serious depth of field, and then it focuses on what you want the viewer to see. And that's when I made my second film, 99 Day. And 99 Day was a hit. It was a big one in the cinemas because people began to see that this film is very different from the normal films.
Yeah.
So really, ever since I wanted to make the films differently. So I've done my own films about 7. But I never had the opportunity like this. I used to hear my friends talk about the budget they have, and I'm like, if I can have this kind of support. And then I had the support. And when I had the support, I asked myself, this is what I've been praying for. This is what I've been waiting all these years for. This is what I've been working towards. So I had to now give it that best shot. And this is why, like I told you earlier, I went for the best camera, the ARRI, and I just didn't use the ARRI the normal way. I used the open gate, which is the highest sensor size. Then I use anamorphic lenses, which sees very wide and crop the image, just squeeze the image this way. Then when you de-squeeze, it makes it very wide. And it's meant for cinema because the human eye sees more this way than up.
Okay.
So when you give him an image like this, he's just excited about it. And this is why when we're in the cinemas with the surround sound, we're immersed into something that we don't know, and then we're so happy. And I studied all these things, and I went to film school in the US in 2014. And there they gave us a template on how Hollywood films are done. In fact, when I looked at it, when I went back to my hotel, I was watching films and I saw that everything was falling in place. If it misses 2 minutes or 3 minutes, it happens in the next. So I laminated that stuff, I brought it back home. So when I was writing Eagle Wings, I took time to follow the template. And this is why if you start watching Eagle Wings now, you can't stand up until you finish.
You're done.
Yes.
It has that gripping effect.
Yes, and because Eagle Wings is done in many languages. We have the Hausa, the Yoruba, the Igbo, and even the Tiv language. But if you are there watching, you will not know when you understand everything.
Wow.
Although it's subtitled, but you understand it because right from the expressions of the people and the sound that accompanies the image, you know what's going to happen next. You know what is about to happen. It takes you there. So by the time somebody speaks language, you already know.
Okay, before I ask you the next question, I see some of you are calling instead of texting or sending WhatsApp messages. So I'm going to call the number one more time. 081-177-82020. Please send in your text messages, and you can also do that via WhatsApp. What was your greatest source of inspiration?
I love family, and so when I'm back home with my little family, my family is very small. My own family is small. My father's family is very big.
Okay.
I made sure I made a small family so that I can actually enjoy life too, and made them enjoy life. So when my boys were growing up and they just jump around me, I sit back there and I see the world very far, and I kept imagining that if I can just be relevant to the society, I can put food on the table of these boys, and of course I can make life good for myself. So I always wanted to be a solution provider, not a problem creator. And so my inspiration is drawn from my close family that I'm always spending time with. Apart from my office, I'm just home. So I draw strength from that a lot.
Okay. Where do you see yourself or Papel Films in the future?
With the platform that I've been given by the Air Force, the Nigerian military, Nigeria, because this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria giving me hope. This is Nigeria giving me a source to stand on, because the good thing about this production you're seeing, as Hollywood as it looks, is completely Nollywood. It's made by us for the world. So with this kind of platform, the sky is just the place I'll be stepping on to go higher. So I see myself tomorrow making bigger films and much bigger films, because I now understand the craft, and I know that when this hit the cinemas, more people will want us to make films this way, and of course, we begin to make blockbusters continually.
You mentioned your family earlier, and I just didn't want to interject while you were talking. How have you been able to balance it all? I follow you on Instagram and social media platforms, and I see you have a very happy family, a lovely wife and two lovely, adorable sons. How have you been able to balance work and family?
Now, my wife, I think when they say you have 50% of your problem, you have the right woman in your life, you solve 50% of the problem, because life is full of problems. So when you have a woman that's wrong, it adds 50 to the problems you have. So my wife has been my source of focus. She has made me very, very focused. Because if you look at my track record from my background, you'll be wondering, how come this guy is so different? Because I made a decision, having met a very wonderful lady, that I will take care of this woman. And for me to take care of this woman, I have to be really straight. And of course, I nursed my own children, so we're so closely knit. I never had a house help in my house, so I'm very close